All right, guys, we're live. Mario, hit it.
All right, bang, bang. We got 4 topics. Change your geography. Number 2, shoplifting CBD oil. Number 3, Rancho Mirage. Sensei Porcupine Creek Resort versus Morongo. And number 4, a hardened elementary school. So number 1, change your geography. Warner, can you tell us about Mid-City and your 4 planting or raised bed gardens and the kind of trees you put on your property? So how did you change your geography on a micro level in Mid-City a couple years ago?
Okay, good question. So 2014, myself and my wife bought a fourplex. It was an S-hole, that's what I'll say. We turned the whole thing around. We rebuilt the house from the ground up, kept the existing roof, and then we revamped three apartments. They had a good structure, so we kept that structure. And then I came up with this crazy idea. I said, hey, Lydia, I'm going to build like a 10 grand raised bed garden using redwood, pile-ons. Imagine like, I don't know, one of them was like 8 feet. 2 of them were 8 feet long and they're stacked in a grid. And 2 of them were like 10 or 12 feet long. So I started building this garden, and along the way I met this guy named Jimmy. It's this black gentleman who's been like owns a nursery for, I don't know, 40 years. He started in New York as a fashion designer, then came out to the West Coast, started just growing plants, and was so successful at growing and sharing with people that they wanted him to grow for them. And now he's got, I won't name names, but he's got all sorts of celebrities, billionaires, people that own companies that you would know up in Brentwood, up in the Hollywood Hills, and he maintains them. So I guess kind of like change your geography. I would say more change your topography.
Yeah. So what I saw was the fact that you improved that property on a micro level by changing the geography, by increasing the amount of food production. So 3 things that was able for you to do. 1, a gentleman's responsibility to maintain or gain physical fitness never ends. Number 2 is gaining resources. And number 3 is building relationships. You were able to do all 3 of those on a micro level with that project. And meeting Jimmy gave us, both of us, exceptional intel into what's going on in LA, because he is connected to some very successful people via his garden business, his nursery. And then he goes out to these houses and he plants, or he helps develop these properties as far as a food source. And then what kind of food production did you get off that little, I don't know, it was quite a few square feet, but those 4 vegetable gardens plus all the fruit trees, could you have fed 10 people, 15 people?
Yeah, you could have had probably a whole family or 2. So imagine I put in this system called what was it called? It was AquaJet, and what it was, it goes down in the ground, and if you can imagine, it looks like, well, I'm not gonna be able to do it over with my hands, but it looks like I don't know, let's just say a round circular piece with 2 chambers, and when the water drains out and the new water pressure comes through and you turn on the sprinkler, it aerates the roots, and then the water sprays through like a 1/64th of an inch hole, really, really small drill bit to make these holes, and then it aerates the roots, and almost like the pressure is so high that it creates a hole. But why is this important in terms of intel? Because I'll give you guys an example. When you're doing real estate or you're in a local area, you kind of want to look at the area and see what most people don't see. You want to look at it and go, okay, I have this area in the middle of Mid-City. There's not really any raised bed gardens or anything in the area, yet you have this amazing weather in Los Angeles. I mean, Santa Monica and the Valley, which is just the north of us, used to be all growing regions. They ripped it down after World War II for the troops coming back, all the orange groves. So the idea is, anytime you sort of talking intelligence, anytime you roll into an area, well, this is why real estate's so important. When you do real estate, when you do it a lot, you assess an area. Every time I'm driving, I'm going, okay, what could I do with that? What could I do with this? So that sort of intel, observation, ground intel, when you're looking at an area, what can you do with it? And that's what I did, what no one else was doing in that area. So I think the term we use, geography, maybe is not the correct term. Topography. How can you change your topography? Geography is very important in real estate, but I would say topography.
All right, let's switch to topic number 2, shoplifting CBD oil. So I've been researching and purchasing CBD oil specifically for sleep. trying to induce or get better REM sleep and get 8 hours of solid sleep. I was in a organic uh, grocery store out in Palm Springs called Clark's. It's a high-end grocery store similar to Erewhon and bigger than Erewhon, smaller than a Whole Foods. And I was looking at the CBD aisle, and there's a small case there, and they were all locked up. And I found a gentleman. I looked at all of them. I found some organic CBD oil, and I went to grab one. He's like, "Oh no, I need to walk this up to the front of the store for you to check out." And I was kind of shocked. Okay, I'm gonna grab a few other items if you don't mind. So he walked around the store as I grabbed some cheese, some charcuterie, a couple other items, and then he walked to the front of the store with a little thing of CBD with me, and we checked out together. Extremely inefficient way to sell products when you can't trust people to do the right thing. But apparently a $29, $39 bottle of CBD oil is so valuable and so desirable nowadays that they can't make a profit without locking it up because of the shoplifting. So, and this is in a nice community. This is in a nice area of Southern California. This isn't the ghetto of Los Angeles. This isn't the Southeast Los Angeles. This isn't some ghetto of Oakland or San Diego. This is a very nice retirement community, golf community, and they're locking up their CBD oil. What are your thoughts, Warner?
Yeah, so the same thing's happening at Home Depot. Every time you go into Home Depot, so I bought multiple DeWalt tools from them, and when you go in, you see these cages. They like kind of swivel down like this, and they're locked up by a padlock, and they're covering all the tools. And I'm noticing there's a few other areas in Home Depot that are locked up. I forget what they are, but also, the other night on our apartment, I won't name where we are or the school next, but we're in Santa Monica. It's a really nice school, and these young kids went down our alley, hopped the fence, and jumped in the school, broke into a building, and stole some cash. So what you're seeing right now on the ground intel and why this is important, if you're a small business owner and you want to do a brick and mortar business, then this is, here's our advice. Don't watch Fox News. Don't watch CNN. Don't watch any of that crap, because it's going to get you in this emotional state. Our goal is to get you into a performance-based state where you're looking at what's going on the ground. I don't care whether or not you think, oh, it's so bad, the plight of California and the homelessness. It doesn't matter. What matters is on the ground intel to support you making smarter decisions to improve your business. So what we're seeing on the ground here in California, other areas, is that there's a breakdown in law. There's a lack of integrity because there's a lack of jobs. Regulation is killing the state. The insane pricing is killing the state. And people are getting desperate. So the big businesses like CBD, the things that are valuable that they know people, because when people in these robberies, they're not like stealing chairs and heavy stuff. They're stealing stuff they can sell: CBD oil, tools, cash. These are lazy criminals, but they're also resourceful because they know I can grab this cash, exchange the cash for something else, tools, CBD oil, and I can sell that stuff quickly. They're also probably looking for where there's shortages of stuff, and they're stealing that. So that's kind of what's going on the ground, is where you're going to start seeing more of this. They're going to start locking up more of the store. Then you're going to see eventually what I see in like some plumbing stores, where you just go up to the counter and a guy goes back and gets you your stuff. I guarantee you're going to start seeing more stores like that popping up, where you just go to the counter and say, hey, I want some eggs, I want some bacon, and it gets delivered to you out to the front. They have no choice, because a business will go out of business if people just can come in and freely take stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. The businesses have to defend their profit margin and make a profit, or they're going to go out of business. And they're doing that through locking up merchandise, but it's inefficient. And what that actually does is it drives people to stay at home and just order it online. Because if I got to go to a counter and order it, why not just order it from my phone and have it delivered? And the reason why people go sometimes is to look at the product, to touch the product, to feel the product, to examine the product. A lot of that is there's a touch point. There's a physical touch point of a product. And if you're taking that away because of shoplifting, but you don't have an online presence, you don't have the technology, the AI, to be able to inventory products and send them out to people's homes. But basically this shoplifting, this crime, is helping people to use their phone more and stay home and not go to these shopping malls or these grocery stores, and just order everything from Costco and Amazon home delivered. and I just won't go to this independently owned Clark's organic market, which was really nice. It was a really wonderful experience. However, obviously they're experiencing so much shoplifting that they're having to lock up some of their items, which creates this kind of weird dynamic where it's like, well, if I can't really do this comfortably, I might as well just order it online versus supporting this mom and pop, or not mom and pop, but small footprint organic grocery store. So it'd be interesting to see how this plays out in the future. But I wouldn't want to own that type of real estate. I wouldn't want to invest in that type of real estate when I don't know if Costco and Amazon are going to destroy the business model. And two, I wouldn't want to be in that industry where I'm selling little items that can be stolen really easily.
And another thing you want to think about too, you brought up a good point in terms of efficiency. When I'm at Home Depot, I'm cruising in and out, grabbing stuff. And I'm on a timeline because I'm working on getting back to the construction project. And then I'm looking for a guy to open up, the aisle. It could take 10 minutes. Maybe he's talking to someone else. It's an inefficient use of my time. Then it's an inefficient use of his time because some of the guys, maybe the guy that's supposed to unlock it's not there. This happened to me.
You're adding a cost structure. You're adding more cost to this experience by a guy having to open the cabinet and walk around the store with you. That's a guy making $17 to $20 an hour in Southern California currently. That's a $17 an hour or $20 an hour employee that has to unlock that cabinet, walk around the store with you, go to checkout. That's an inefficient process when you got Amazon and Costco that'll just ship it right to you.
Thing that you want to think about too, it just came to me. Wherever you do business, you want to make sure that law enforcement and the local people are well staffed. They're upholding the laws, and that's a challenge in today's environment. What we're seeing on the ground is you may look at like Fox News and CNN, and they may put a slant on this. Oh, it's bull. It's bull. It's happening. What's happening is a breakdown of the law. There's not enough law enforcement individuals because they're getting vilified by this social justice crap, and then they're not able to do their job. They don't want to do the job. They're afraid. So then what it's doing is creating a vacuum for criminals. But you're like, well, I'm paying my taxes. You're not upholding my local laws. So what you're basically seeing on the ground as a businessman or woman is like, how are you going to do business if the individuals like the cops and the firefighters, I saw a firefighter this morning under a bridge, they're putting out a bum fire. I'm like, that's not their job, but that's what they're dealing with. So firefighters are dealing with bums. Policemen's hands are tied because they can't do anything without fear of getting fired.
So or risk of going to jail, risk of going to prison for trying to make it home at night to their family.
Yeah. So anyways, I think we hit that one hard. Let's roll on to number 3, which is Morongo and Sensei Resort in Rancho Mirage.
Yeah. So the last 2 weekends I've been hunting outside of Palm Springs. So pushing into the backcountry a couple miles, going after some deer and bear, but grabbing a nice dinner on my way in and out of this town. So I stopped 2 places. I stopped at Morongo Casino to get a really nice hamburger from Wahlberg, which is owned by Mark Wahlberg and his brother. Pretty good burger. I had a really good beer, decent burger, great beer. But I went into that casino, and I'm not opposed to getting a subsidized meal while I'm going through, Vegas sometimes in Southern California. There's some pretty good casinos to stop at that have good restaurants in them. This casino was nearly dead. This was a Friday night on the side of I-10 Morongo Casino. I walked in there and I was just surprised that you could keep that many employees, that much square foot going off of a couple people playing some slot machines, a few people playing some card tables, 0 people drinking at the bar. They had a live band in there, a couple restaurants, pretty good food. It's just a dying business model. They're right now in California. They're trying to prevent people from passing Prop 27, which is online gambling. The casinos know, man, they've got all this square footage and they can't get people to come out to get off their damn phones and come out and play some blackjack and have a few drinks. So, man, the business is nearly dead. It's a dying business model. I'll contrast that with a property I went to. I couldn't actually get into it. Warner said it's.
Let's talk about this for a second. There's some things going on. So we're going to contrast this property with Sensei, but you also have to think about from an Intel standpoint of business. I learned this in design school. You want to look at the customers. So these 2 properties we're going to contrast as 2 different customer bases. One's a very high-end very high end. We're probably talking $2,000 to $5,000 a night if I had to guess for a room. I haven't researched it, but I know these resorts, and
they're about
know
it's about 2,500 a
yeah.
night to stay at Sensei.
So now Morongo, you're probably spending, I don't know, with inflation, 150, 180 on a deal, 400 a night.
They'll probably give you a room if you come in there. You're a player. You want to play.
Yeah, but
$100.
The challenge is Morongo is that let's look at the user group. Let's look at the customer. The customer of this casino is going to be your lower end individual, your construction worker. Maybe you get some high rollers in there that just love to gamble. But you're talking about probably like middle class individuals, maybe into the upper middle class. The really wealthy are not going to go to Morongo Casino. So who's getting smoked right now? And this is why on the ground intelligence, like if you read something on the news, it's always good to go out and sort of verify it. And you can easily verify a lot of things by just getting outside and looking and traveling. So Morongo Casino is catering to a group of people, the middle class, is getting absolutely smoke checked. Right? The Federal Reserve and all these guys, governments will tell you that all these markets are great. They're not. They're getting smoke checked. And that's what you're seeing right now. Now let's swap over to, what's the other one, Mario? To Rancho Mirage?
It's in Rancho Mirage. It's Sensei Porcupine Creek Resort and Golf Course. It's owned by Larry Ellison. I couldn't get in there. I tried to pull the same move you did up in Montecito. Tried to just ask if I could eat lunch there, try to get on the property, but I failed to penetrate the front gate. What I did is I parked and I hiked out.
This.
Unbelievable. Nicest golf course I've ever been to. Unbelievable. What Larry bought there was a monopoly on water rights. That's backed up to National Forest property. So I walked back up behind that, as you can see, just to scout for some deer hunting. But I looked down at that resort. Unbelievable how many palm trees he's planted. I mean, every hole of that 18-hole golf course just is lined with palm trees, as you can see in that picture.
Now let's look at this for a second. Like if you've ever been to Rancho Mirage, right? I showed you just the front of the Rancho Mirage is a really upscale area in Palm Springs, but let's look at this from a real estate standpoint. Like if you could do Signals Intel, which we talked about on this channel, which is looking online, looking at maps. Would that be Signals Intel, Mario? Looking at a map, is that what you call it, or would that be ground intel?
That's more ground intel. Signals Intel is looking at transmissions, either let's say radio communications.
So let's consider Signals Intel
that are going back and forth. Go ahead.
Let's consider Signals Intel as like you're reading stuff online. We're kind of working this out, guys. It's a new channel, but we have Signals, which is reading data online. Anyways, and then ground intel is observing, like map study. So this is like an aerial.
And then human intel is exactly what you developed with Jimmy.
Exactly.
With your gardener / the guy that owned the nursery. That's unbelievably quality human intel.
And these are essential, like we do in the military. Like it's an essential part of the military, but in the civilian world, a lot of people don't do this. They make business decisions based on hunches. Like, that's good if you have a lot of experience in that area. But anyways, let's go back to this. Rancho Mirage. If you look at it, what do you notice compared to Morongo Casino? Morongo Casino is sitting on a freeway. There's not a lot of like green space around it. The space that they have is all basically built out. Look at this. This is completely different. This is sitting up against a nice backdrop, a lot of land, and then sparsely populated structures throughout that land. So you see this old model, what Mario and I are talking about, of just taking a casino and packing as much revenue generating buildings and opportunities on one space is dying because the middle class is dying. The smart guys like Larry Ellison, the Four Seasons, they understand this. They're building better experiences for a higher end clientele. And this is why we're doing this Business Intel podcast. And when we start thinking this way about looking at things, why is this going this way? Why is this going this way? So Intel drives the business sort of, you talk about the military, Intel drives the operations. In the same way, if you can see the Intel on what's going on in the civilian world, it'll drive your operations. So right now, look at Sensei. Look at that. It's beautiful.
I've been to at least one Four Seasons resort with you and Lydia. Maybe we've been to two together. This is better, Warner. This is unbelievable what he's done here on this property. And I think what he did was he knew that he has a monopoly on water rights, and he can keep this extremely lush and extremely fertile where other properties out there in the desert, they're based off of enough water making it to an irrigation ditch or into groundwater. He's actually tucked up on, it's literally called Sensei at Porcupine Creek, or Sensei Porcupine Creek. He's literally tucked up into the mountains with a creek running off of 10,000 foot mountains down onto his property. So he gets that first tap of the drip to keep that property unbelievable. And yeah, it's got that Four Seasons ambiance. Just looks like an unbelievable property. You go to Morongo, it's basically a gas station on the side of I-10. And yeah, they got the rights to gamble there because it's technically an Indian casino or Indian reservation, a casino on an Indian reservation. But man, it's dying because the middle class is just getting smoked and hammered. And you can't keep that. Nobody wants to go out there and gamble.
Let's talk about a few data points, because this is what this podcast is all about. A few things you said, and this is what I want our audience to start cluing into. I want you throughout your days to start taking all these thoughts and not discounting them, because you're getting data points all day long. What Mario and I do is get these data points, and we're thinking about all of them. So a few data points. Morongo Casino's on a freeway. It's like a gas station. What's going on right now? Gas prices are going through the roof. So people aren't going to be driving as much on that freeway. They might not be stopping there because they're like, I don't want to spend more money. I just spent too much money in this gas, right? Sensei Resort, another data point, they're not just letting you on. Maybe in the past they would let you drive it, but because of security and what we talked about in Los Angeles, all these things tie together. What we experienced in Los Angeles, where things are getting locked up, these smarter individuals know, like, we're providing experience. We're not going to let the riffraff in here and destroy it. So they're sending out a message like, if you're not paying customer, you're not wanted here. If you're an employee, you can come in. If you're a paying customer, you can come in. These are important data points because they're going to drive what businesses you invest in, what business you think about starting. This is the stuff you want to start doing beforehand, before you start a business or buy a business. You want to do a ton of intel before you make any move.
All right, we're gonna switch to number 4. It's going to be Hardin Schools in Southern California. So I drove by a school just near Sensei, just down the street from Sensei. It looked like a prison. It had 12 or 15 foot high fencing around the entire perimeter of the property. I was looking at it, as a standpoint coming from, the ground standpoint, infantry officer. I was like, how would I even breach this? Could I even get onto this property without using a mechanical or dynamic breaching technique to get through the fencing? Every door was locked. Every door, there was no glass. You couldn't even look inside the school near where you could park or the front of the school because there was no windows. It was completely like prison-esque. You couldn't even break a window to get through. You'd have to go through a door. Unbelievable what they've done. And this is a wealthy community. Obviously, they're protecting those kids against mass shootings, but they've basically designed a prison compound where you drop your kids off at 7:00 in the morning. And I was there. I kind of staged there last night to go punch in this morning and take a look at some wildlife, some deer in the backcountry behind this property. And there was kids there last night at 6 or 7:00 at night. So, the parents are dropping them off at 6, 7:00 in the morning and not picking them up till, 5, 6:00 at night. So they want to create this prison environment where their kids are safe. It's almost disturbing to see that that's what's happened in our country. I remember my grade school, junior high school, and high school. You could literally drive on there, walk off there. It was just kind of an open park-like design. Now it's really looking like a prison. What are your thoughts, Warner?
So when you drive around LA, you see all these schools. So there's different types of schools, right? You're talking about, was that a public or a private school?
It looks like a public school, but it's in a really high-end neighborhood of Rancho Mirage.
So there's some schools in LA, like Windward School, and I forget the other one other, but they take security very seriously. They have security guards. You can't get on.
It's the Harvard School.
Harvard.
I think it's Windward, and then there's the Harvard School.
Yeah, Harvard Westlake. Yep, exactly. So they take their security very seriously because, again, they know as crime, as the societies break down, they may not know exactly. The people that run it may not know like everything we're sharing, but they can see it on the ground and they're adjusting quickly because they have a lot of money coming in. And very wealthy people don't, when they're spending 40 grand a year or whatever it is, they're not they're not going to, you know what, mess around with security. They're going to hear about it. So these schools, a lot of them are designed, and a lot of public school systems, from what I've been told, I may be wrong, they're built by the same people that build prison systems. That's a whole nother topic, right? That's a really interesting topic. But at the end of the day, when you start fortifying everything, like when I start fortifying my apartment complex, when schools start fortifying, we start fortifying Home Depot. This is what you talked about in this podcast. Used to be called the Red to Black podcast. You talked about this is going to turn to Mexico, and now we're seeing it. If you've ever been to Mexico, I have. You have. You ever been to third world countries? What you see is this compound living. You see people like living in very secure compounds. You see a lot of low level crime, and then you see a lot of corruption at the upper levels, and that's what we're kind of seeing right now. So in LA, with unrestrained like immigration, all this stuff, it's causing a breakdown in society with free payments from the government. You're creating this environment where you have people that really want to work hard, and you have people, I hear it over and over again from construction workers, they can't find good people. People don't want to work. People that used to work are not working because they're getting free payments. So you get a breakdown in the good function of society, which is what we talked about before on this podcast, which is society is just basically you and me creating value and exchanging that value, whether it's a good or service or helping someone else out. But when you have like 50% of the population through inflation, they can't even hang on. And you have a lot of people, 30% not working, 40%, whatever it is. You get these dynamics where the people like you and me that do want to work and are security minded and want to protect our wealth, we're going to start creating environments that are secure, and we're going to flow from A to B, especially being ex-military, thinking about how we're going to do it in secure environments. We're going to create this secure kind of society. But the other people get smoked, and that's what we're seeing right now. We're really seeing the U.S. turn into Mexico. I mean, it's at least Southern California.
I agree with you, Warner. It's unfortunate, but that's the direction we're going to go. All right, folks, we're going to land the plane here. One quick ask from you guys. If you got any value from this video, I ask you to share this with 3 people. That's it. If you got some value, you made it this far, please send this out to 3 people that you know that might get some value from this. Warner, you got anything to add?
Yeah, tell us how we can improve. Tell us where we messed up. Just so you guys know, the first topic was a little wonky on the Intel side of things. Like, we're kind of getting our feet underneath us. So we appreciate you guys listening. We're not going to always be on point. We're going to be honest with you, but support us and telling us how we can improve, what type of content you'd like to hear. And we'd like to create a community with you. We just don't want to be one-sided. We want to hear what you guys are seeing on the ground. Even though we just have 33 subscribers, we appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you guys. I look forward to connecting with you. Look at us as this open traffic. Like Mario's saying, send it out to other people, 3 people, and then send your traffic our way so we can open up a conversation, talk about this stuff. Thanks, guys. And we'll see you next Saturday, 7:15 Pacific Standard Time.